Next, we're going to talk about running backs. We're going to start this conversation with not a free agent, but a big rumor I heard today that Derrick Henry is seriously being shopped at the combine. What the for?
I'll tell you what, if you look into the free agents, the amount of free agents that the Titans have this season, it's like 3/4 of their team are going to be free agents. Like they are restarting whether they like it or not. They can't afford to pay everybody. Tannehill has a big contract. Derrick Henry has a big contract. They have to pay Jeffrey Simmons. That everybody's saying, that's somebody that they're going to pay, and he's going to be the highest paid defensive tackle in the league. So they're in a tight spot. They put themselves in a tight spot trying to win for the last couple of years, and it didn't work out for them. They were even the number one seed, and it didn't work out for them. So Derrick Henry, this is something that I kind of expected to happen once I saw how many free agents they had and I saw what their cap situation was. Derrick Henry, is he actually going to get shopped? I don't know if he'll get traded. That's going to be a massive conversation because it almost feels inevitable that you have to trade a guy, if you can trade a guy like that to somebody that's trying to win now, to a team like the Buffalo Bills, and get some draft capital back in him, and because he's an aging superstar, right? And he's already had the injury, but is he going to slow down? When he came back last year after the foot injury, his numbers weren't what we're used to seeing from Derrick Henry. And the question there is, was that because the team around him was so injured, or because he's about to fall off? So it seemed inevitable. I think Derrick Henry still has some tread on the tires. He's a freak athlete. We can't just forget that because he got an injury. Like we saw Adrian Peterson come back. I think he was 27 or 28 years old when he tore his ACL, and he was able to come back and be even better for a couple years after that. So I think he still has tread on the tires. He could be a difference maker for somebody, but it won't be the Tennessee Titans, in my opinion.
Yeah. So with him coming back, now he's got an off season after his comeback, right? These guys people don't understand that these guys start when they're about 16 and they build and build and build and build and build. So when they're 26 and they're at their peak, they've got 10 years of primo conditioning. And then they get hurt and they're down for 6 to 9 months. Anybody who's ever done any type of fitness knows that when you're down for 6 to 9 months, you lose half of it. It goes away way faster than what you put it on. So with Derrick Henry, just because he rehabbed and came back doesn't mean he was optimal level. Now he's got an off season to go with it, and we'll see what he's capable of when he comes back. I too think he has some tread left on the tires. It'd be interesting. I think there are teams that would just mortgage the farm to get this guy. I think there'll be if it's true, which may be smart, maybe we're going to do it. I think there'll be teams fighting over him. Maybe the Titans can get something out of it to help them build for the future.
Yeah, and I remember, the reason I use like the Bills as an example is because I remember hearing something like 2 months ago, maybe not that long ago, but a little while ago, that like Derrick Henry is going to be a Buffalo Bill in 2023, and that just always stuck in my mind because I thought, how crazy would that be? And the Bills, a team that's ready to compete. Could you imagine that football team?
No.
A backfield. How do you stop a running attack with Derrick Henry and Josh Allen?
Yeah. But I've seen that happen before. It doesn't always work out that way. It takes me back to Bo Jackson. Marcus Allen was really only the one of the high-powered tandems that ever really worked. There's a couple of them. That's the biggest. A lot of times, egos get in the way, and that's really hard to make that happen. And it's hard to write paychecks for everybody. So, but it would be incredible to see Derrick Henry in Buffalo. I wouldn't mind seeing him in Miami either. So,
hey, I didn't even think about Miami. That's a great place for him.
I'd love to see him down here. Yeah, they definitely need him. Mike McDaniels, I like McDaniels. I think he's brilliant. I think he'd know exactly how to use him, take some pressure off Tua. But that's speculation. There's no rumors or anything like that. That we're just throwing things out. What about Kareem Hunt? do we even know? I mean, what are they doing up in Cleveland? I don't. They're just being the Browns. I don't. What are they going to do with him?
Yeah, I
He-
mean, he very clearly wants to go somewhere and be the guy and get more playing time. He's shown that he can still be a number one running back. Like he is very good. The fact that he's been a number two all this time is crazy. The fact that the Browns didn't find better ways to be able to utilize him and win more is crazy. And I think, you just mentioned it with Derrick Henry. The Dolphins and the way Mike McDaniels does his offense. And I know he can be the number one guy in McDaniels' offense and be a shining superstar for them. And McDaniels can still do, running back committee the way he wants to. Kareem Hunt can play as much as he needs to, but you can still rest him enough. So, will Kareem Hunt want to go there because he's not going to be playing all the snaps? That feels like with his age and where is at in his career, Miami feels like the perfect place for Kareem Hunt.
yeah, and some of these guys might find themselves in Carolina too. I know Donta Foreman is a free agent, and when you got a new coach, it'd be interesting to see if Reich wants to hang on to Foreman, or they want to change directions. And a lot goes into that styles, offensive schemes and styles, but also attitudes and how the locker room things are going in the locker room. Do you know much about Foreman?
Yeah, Foreman actually impressed. Last year for the Panthers, he did really well. I'm surprised that he didn't already get re-signed. I honestly thought that they already had him locked up, but I would be surprised if he went anywhere else. It just feels like with what he did, he proved that he deserves a contract. Probably just a matter of figuring out what his value is. There's probably going to be some form of a market for a guy like Deontay Foreman again because of what he put on tape for the Panthers last year and the games that he was able to win for Steve Wilks and the offense as they started running. So I think Deontay Foreman is going to be a good running back. Do I think he's going to be, a top 10, superstar running back? I don't know about all that, but I do think that he can be a guy that could help a team improve a lot in the run game. The only other guy that I see on here that I think is a major wild card is going to be, guys in the class of the Jamal Williams and the Samaje Perines. Ronald Jones is a guy that's been thrown out a lot. But then Jerick McKinnon, I feel like of those tier of guys, Jerick McKinnon feels like he may have separated himself with what he was able to do with the Chiefs over the last couple of years in the kind of role that he's been in. He feels like he could be a difference maker, kind of like a Tony Pollard kind of guy who just got franchise tagged by the Dallas Cowboys. So Jerick McKinnon is a guy that I'm going to be looking for in free agency. As a Colts fan, this is a name that I'm keeping an eye on because I would love to see him come and be a 1-2 punch with Jonathan Taylor. So Jerick McKinnon is a guy that I think is going to get a lot of offers and a lot of interest in free agency, and he's a guy that I think could be a difference maker for somebody that's trying to win right now, 2023.